President calls on the Maha Nayakas, outlines plans for 2016.
Train crashes into a car at the Kadana level crossing. Woman killed, 4 people hospitalized.
Western Provincial Council budget passed unanimously.
2 police officers injured in a shooting in Caledonia.
Supreme Court allows 5 rejected nominees to contest the Sri Lanka cricket elections. Just hours away for us to say our final goodbyes to the year 2015 and welcome a brand new year, that is the year 2016. With that being said, it's time for us to commence our final primetime news bulletin here on MTV and Shakti TV. For the news team, I'm Joel Outsgood, and joining me tonight is my co-anchor Sonali Vanibadaguen. Good evening, Sonali.
Good evening, Joel. We start off first with a look at tonight's top story. President Maithripala Sirisena visited the temple of the sacred tooth relic in Kandy and called on the chief prelates.
President Sirisena, who first arrived in Kandy, visited the temple of the sacred tooth relic and obtained blessings. Later, the president called on the chief prelate of the Siam sect of the Malwatu chapter, the most venerable Tibatwe Sri Sumangala Thero, and elaborated on the future plan. He then called on the chief prelate of the Siam sect of the Askiri chapter, the most venerable Galagama Sri Attadasi Thero, and obtained blessings. We extend our wishes to all Sri Lankans of the nation. That is, that this new year to dawn would be a prosperous and fruitful one to everyone. We will be focusing our attention towards 2 factors for the new year. We will eradicate poverty in the nation. We will strengthen the economy of the country. The next point is that a new constitutional reform to suit the country will be presented in Parliament. We will arrive to a final decision after taking into consideration each and everyone's stand on the new changes. We will inquire on this from scholars, philosophers, and also from the general public. We will commence the compilation of a new constitutional amendment to meet the needs of the country. We will commence this in the beginning of the next year. This will benefit the entire nation and a year which is fruitful to the general public as well as the future generations of this nation will be created. We will create a good country and attract foreign nations. We will obtain international praise and international aid to develop this nation and further strengthen the economy of this country and build a better nation. The Maha Nayaka of the Amarapura sect, Most Venerable Jaldena Nani Sarathera, marked his 100th birthday today.
The Maha Nayaka of the Askiri chapter, Most Venerable Galagama Attadasithera, who called on the Most Venerable Jaldena Nani Sarathera early this morning, wished him longevity. This momentous occasion was captured in the camera lens of the chief incumbent of the Kirinda Alutvihare in Gampala, Venerable Kandapola Medananda Thera. The centennial birthday of the Maha Nayaka of the Sri Lanka Amarapura sect, Agamaha Pandita, the Most Venerable Daldina Nyani Sarathera, was marked at the BMICH this morning. The Mahasangha, representing the 3 sects, the President, Ministers, MPs as well as foreign dignitaries were present at the occasion.
We should all be pleased that he is one of the most qualified persons in the country to be called an intellectual. The Most Venerable has rendered a great service to the country, the nation, the religion, language, literature and the people. The Most Venerable Thera is a humble individual. When you speak to him, you can understand the knowledge he possesses on the languages in the manner in which he used them. There are only a few monks in the modern day who have been blessed with long life. The laymen know him from a long time.
President Maithripala Sirisena, who presided over the occasion, issued a commemorative
I believe that there is a lot for the new generation to learn from the monks. The lay society have raised concerns about the new generation of bhikkhus and are having serious doubts about some of them. We see a vast amount of deterioration in the commercial society which is engulfed by new technology. The new generation of monks must follow the guidance of these monks. We strongly believe that the guidance of Lord Buddha and you will be exemplary and strengthen the Buddhists in the country and the world.
ආදර්ශය ශක්තිමත් කරනු ඇතැයි කියා අපි දැඩි ලෙස විශ්වාස කරනවා.
Kiribaddana Mudyanse was born on the 31st of December 1915 to Aloka Mudyansalage Kaurala and Gajanayaka Mudyansalage Kirimenike. On the 8th of March 1928, he took up robes as Venerable Dal Denanyani Sirathera. Educated under Venerable Umelle Panyananda Thera and Venerable Umelle Piyaratana Thera, Venerable Dal Denanyani Sirathera excelled in the Prachina, Praramba and Central examinations and was bestowed with the title Rajakiya Pandita. An intellectual monk, Most Venerable Dal Denanyani Sirathera also had many novice monks learning under him at the Atampitiya Vidyanyana Pirivana, Hunupitiya Gangarama Pirivana and Rahula College Malabe, and also served as a member of the Udarata Amarapura Sama Sri Sangha Council. Acclaimed locally and internationally, Most Venerable Dal Denanyani Sirathera was made the Maha Nayaka of the Sri Lanka Amarapura sect in 2002.
Central Bank Governor Arjuna Mahendran told the media that changes in the statutory reserve ratio would not affect consumers directly and that there were no immediate plans to raise interest rates.
Now, the Governor of the Central Bank made these remarks at a media briefing today.
I want to emphasize that at this point our reserves are comfortable. We have over 4.5 months of imports on our reserves. Admittedly, some of that was borrowed, but the country is in no dire need of any emergency funding of any sort at the moment, and therefore, there's really no need to speculate on, the IMF coming to the rescue of Sri Lanka or anything like that. You've seen the dollar actually giving up some of its gains in recent days. The euro, has strengthened marginally. The yen also has recovered a bit, and even the Sri Lanka rupee seems to be stabilizing around its current level. But let's see, the point is if the Fed goes ahead with another hike in March, that would clearly change perspectives again, because that means the interest differential between the dollar and other currencies will widen and create further volatility. We hope that things will stabilize. However, 2015 has been a pretty volatile year by any standard. Well, look, with the floating of the rupee, statistical evidence shows that exports have always performed. Right, give it a lag of about 6 months, exports tend to outperform whenever the rupee gives them a competitive playing field. So we are hoping that will really come back, the export orientation of the economy. That is absolutely essential for a small trading nation like Sri Lanka. That external aspect is the key.
We have borrowed resources from the rest of the world and built up the reserve. And just to maintain the reserve level in terms of future imports is not adequate for a country like Sri Lanka. And when we look at the next 12-month liabilities of Sri Lanka on these two counts, the amount of foreign exchange that we need to repay existing external debt and pay interest amount to about $4.4 billion and the free reserves that we have, that is the reserves except with the exception of the gold and the balances with the IMF, it comes to about $5.4 billion. So in terms of the future short-term external liabilities of the central bank, I do not think that the governor's assurance is enough, because we will not be able to maintain the import program if we are to pay the short-term external liabilities of the country. It is essential that Sri Lanka should go for an IMF facility, because without an IMF facility, just borrowing from the rest of the world will not help Sri Lanka in the long run.
On to a story that made it to the headlines this evening. A collision between a train and a car at the Halpit railway crossing in Kandana claimed the life of a woman while injuring 4 others. The accident took place when a car moved on the track of an oncoming train carrying fuel from Katunayaka to Kolonava. Among the injured were 2 children, one aged 6 and the other 8 months. The 32-year-old mother of the infant and resident of the Batagori area in Kandana died in the accident. She met with the untimely death while travelling in her brother's car. Police said that the car had moved onto the tracks of the oncoming train, ignoring the warning signs and bells. The They got stuck in the tracks. I told them that the train was coming and not to cross the tracks. People around also warned them. But he did not listen and got stuck in the tracks. The car collided with the train and then knocked onto my vehicle. Signal lights were on and the bell was also ringing. An individual sustained severe injuries following a motor accident that took place while crossing the Amarapura railway tracks. Police stated that the accident took place while the signal lights were on.
2 policemen and a civilian were injured in a shooting that took place at the Bulugaha junction in Kelaniya today.
Two police officers attached to the Palyagoda police had arrived at the scene. Authorities believe that one or more of the spectators around the scene of the crash opened fire at the driver of the car and the 2 police officers. The 2 police officers were admitted to the National Hospital. A car travelling towards Kiribati collided onto a tipper truck at the Bulugaha junction in Kelaniya at around 3:30 this afternoon. When we were at the location of the incident, we were shot at from behind. We do not know whether we were the target or whether it was someone else. Meanwhile, the driver of the car has been transferred to the National Hospital for further treatment after being admitted to the Ragam Teaching Hospital. Hospital sources revealed that he had been shot in the chest and the leg. The police added that the man who has been identified as D. Manjula is a suspect in the murder of Samuel Sandurwan, who was a member of the Palyagoda Urban Council. Moving on to some weather news this evening. During the past 1 year, many parts of the world fell victim to nature's furies, suffering heavy losses due to natural disasters. Now, according to the US Space Agency, NASA, and meteorologists, extreme weather events around the world this month has been the result of the most powerful El Nino of the past 100 years.
The Antarctic, South America, the US and Asia suffered from the torrential weather patterns. Scientists said it is likely that the record-breaking El Nino has been bolstered by climate change. NASA says that the current strong El Nino brewing in the Pacific Ocean shows no signs of waning and that El Nino 2015 has already created weather chaos around the world with floods and drought across many regions.
The direct connection to an El Nino effect is with Indonesia. But if the El Nino effect worsens, then a direct connection to us is established. The connections will be made in various means. One will be that the downpour of the southwesterly monsoon rains will reduce. 2 will be that, except in the northern province, the amounts of rains that fall over the island from October to December will increase. When considering the coming months as a result of the El Nino effect, it seems like we will receive less rains.
The Department of Meteorology says that the rainy weather condition will reduce by today. The North Central province was the worst affected by the torrential rainfall over the past several days. Gull Alley, located on the Pulan-Narrow Batiklo main road, was inundated following the rise in water levels of the Mahavali River. The Hurulu River in Amarapura has reached spill level and 1,500 cubic feet of water is being released from the tank per second. In addition, all 10 spill gates of the Rajangane reservoir have been opened by a foot each. Irrigation engineer Athuli Vijayawardena said that 4,500 cubic feet of water is being released per second from the reservoir.
And on that note, we go in for a short commercial break.
Keep it locked. You're watching News First.
You're watching News First. The Western Provincial Council's 2016 budget was unanimously adopted today.
A special sitting of the Western Provincial Council had been convened today as the proposed expenditure heads for several sectors, including health, had been defeated at a prior occasion. The expenditure heads for health, indigenous medicine, social welfare, women's affairs, probation and childcare services were adopted unanimously today. The Council was also informed today that on the order of the Governor K.C. Logeshwaran, the subjects under Provincial Minister Nishantha Sri Varnasinghe had been allocated to Chief Minister Isura Devapriya. Nishantha Srivarnasinghe was not present at today's sitting. An argument broke out in the council today over the non-allocation of time by the opposition for Provincial Councillor Susil Kindel-Pittiya.
While stating that I will always stand by any progressive steps taken for the future of this council, I thank the governing party for allocating time for me. I am disappointed that in spite of being an opposition member, the opposition has not allocated time for me. Honourable Chair, I am still in the Democratic Party since there is a case pending. I am still a member of the party. It has been challenged and there is a case in the court. Please do not make unfair statements. You are trying to become popular. How can you say that I am from Ananda Sanguri's party? Did you see me in Ananda Sanguri's party? Honourable Chair, ask him to withdraw his statement.
මේ අවස්ථාවේදී ගරු සභාව උදෑසන TV එක සඳහා විනාඩි 15කට කල් තබනවා.
After the councillors expressed their views, the 2016 budget was unanimously adopted.
The UMP and the SLFP have set an example for the people of the Western Province today by forming a common alliance in this provincial council today.
එදා ප්‍රතික්ෂේප වුණු වැය සීර්ෂ
I declare that the expenditure heads rejected on the previous day have all been unanimously adopted today.
මේ අවස්ථාව ප්‍රකාශ කර සිටිනවා.
The Western Provincial Council will reconvene on the 16th of January. Speaking to the media following the sitting, several councillors expressed the following views.
I must mention that given the confrontation situation that prevailed recently, witnessing the opposition and the government working together is a special moment in political history. We have followed the example of the good governance government and have passed this appropriations bill. Throughout the next year, we have decided that the provincial council government will function just like the central government. I believe that from tomorrow, the Western Provincial Council will be a better place than in the past and that it will be able to accomplish everything with success. Still in local news this evening, the national event scheduled to take place on the 8th of January was explained at a media briefing in Colombo today.
The change of 1 year will be commemorated at an event opposite the Kalataka boat tree. At 2 in the afternoon, the President will attend a national council at the BMICH. Later in the evening, Purit will be chanted overnight at the Presidential Secretariat. On the 9th evening, a cultural ceremony will take place at Independence Square. By the look of it, you will understand that the event that we organize will be simple. The President instructed us to keep the expenses at a low.
ගරු ජනාධිපතිතුමා අපට උපදෙස් දීලා තියෙනවා. අපි ඉතිහාසය දැක්කා මේ পদවි ප්‍රාප්ති වලට ඉතිහාසයේ ලැබුණු
Earlier, the ceremonies of this nature were held with dances that lasted for months and public funds were wasted. We request all the people of the country to raise the national flag on that day. That will not be a big burden for them. This is a joint effort. We are prepared for that.
ඒ සඳහා සියලු දෙනා සූදානම් වෙන්න.
Speaking at an event held in Katuwana today, Minister Sajith Premadasa commented on the upcoming first anniversary of the new government.
Minister Sajith Premadasa presented concessionary housing loans of 50,000 rupees each to 850 low-income families at an event held at the Ritigahayaya Maha Vidyalaya in Katuwana. Vimal Veeravansa says, we will dance around for weeks and hold carnivals. I wish to tell him that we will not hold any carnivals. We will not be celebrating anything, but from the 8th of January we will go from village to village, from door to door and commence a historic development revolution. In your time, you staged an ethanol revolution, a drug revolution, a casino revolution, a thieves revolution, a corruption revolution. All of these revolutions took place in your time. We brought about a revolution of good governance. Up
next, we have more local news in brief.
The Colombo Magistrate Court today granted permission for former Minister Johnson Fernando to travel overseas from the 4th to the 7th of January next year. Presenting a motion, he requested court to travel overseas as his wife is currently receiving treatment at a hospital in Singapore. Thereby, he was granted permission to travel overseas, subject to a surety bail of 2.5 million rupees. Today is the last day of this year. I'm sent to the jail in the new year. There is no major court case and not even a complaint is lodged. The government is not trying to build up the economy. All what they are doing is wasting the nation's money by wasting the time of the public. CCTV footage recorded a person stealing a motorcycle of a woman in a fair in Thalava this morning. Police media unit stated that the assistance of the public will be vital to locate the suspect in relation to this. A tree uprooted onto the Dehiwala Maharagama road in close proximity to the Bellamvilla temple, causing heavy traffic. The incident was recorded on CCTV cameras installed in the area. Police said that the road has been cleared for vehicular movement.
First up on sports news this evening, as mentioned on your headlines, Supreme Court today granted permission for 5 individuals, including K. Madhivanan, the former Vice President of Sri Lanka Cricket, whose nominations had been rejected, to contest the Sri Lanka cricket elections scheduled for the 3rd of January 2016. Now, the permission was granted by the Supreme Court after a petition filed by K. Madhivanan was taken up for consideration today.
The petition states that he was deprived of the opportunity of contesting the Sri Lanka cricket election as he had not completed 2 years as a member of the Executive Committee of SLC. K. Madhivanan in his petition sought for the decision to be suspended and to be permitted to contest the Sri Lanka cricket elections. The 3-judge bench that took the petition ordered for all obstacles precluding them to contest the SLC polls be removed. Thereby, K. Madhivanan, Asanga Siniviratna, Nihal Leuke, Sujiva Lokuheva and Esman Naranguda will be able to contest the Sri Lanka cricket elections.
Artifacts are produced with regard to the nominations being rejected based on the fact that there isn't a 2-year time frame in the Executive Committee. It was agreed that they can contest together with 4 other candidates and that facilities be made for them to participate in the election and contest.
Well, 2016 is only a few hours away for us here in Sri Lanka, but for many of our eastern neighbours on the globe, the new year is already here.
Well, we'll leave you tonight with a look at some of the amazing fireworks displays held to usher in the new year, that is 2016. And we wish all our viewers a blessed and peaceful and prosperous Happy New Year. Sonali, you have to say something to our viewers?
Well, Happy New Year. Good night.
All the very best. Good night.